Good evening, everybody. My name is I'm the program director of CREA. At CREA we often have debates, talks, lectures about many topics and people disagree about things. That's a good thing. My most important house rule is that we discuss and talk with each other in a respectful and peaceful way. If you can't follow these rules, then I do have to ask you to leave this venue. But since I only see adult people, I don't believe that this will be very hard. Yes? So please keep it nice tonight. Thank you so much. And I would like to welcome Ms. Zoabi.
This event is organized by Gate 48 and Palestine Link. I want to thank Galit Saponta from Gate 48 and Rada Zidan from Palestine Link, who have been incredibly resourceful, as usual, but especially in organizing this event. Many thanks for CREA for supporting us tonight, providing us the professional facilitation, as they always do. CREA made also, as you can see, necessary arrangements to allow this event to happen this time around. And so we wish to thank Carlo, you especially, and in particular, many thanks for your active support. I must open by expressing our shock and dismay at the unbalanced negative coverage that our guest tonight, member of the Israeli Knesset, Haneen Zoabi, has been receiving even before her arrival to the Netherlands. False information was disseminated by mainstream media here, without any corroboration. For example, the false claim that she is under criminal investigation. Member of Knesset Zoabi is not under any criminal investigation, although the Israeli government and Netanyahu personally is indeed permanently looking for ways to punish, delegitimize, and criminalize her activities. Netanyahu and his government systematically attempt to delegitimize and restrict the activities of all other Palestinian elected members of the third biggest party in the Israeli parliament, the Joint List. This is a party that represents 20% of Israel's Palestinian citizen population. And it is in this context of orchestrated from above campaign of hatred, incitement, and delegitimization emanated directly from the Israeli government top that we must consider why member of Knesset Zoabi is standing out in challenging the status quo. Zoabi is one of the most outspoken and courageous Palestinian leaders of our time. She has become a target of persecution simply because she dares, expressing in words and heroic deeds, her unyielding support for Palestinian civil and non-violent popular resistance to a regime of separation and to the brutal military occupation. It should be clear to you why any such expression of dissent and support for the Palestinian struggle in the political climate in Israel is framed as terrorism or support for terrorism. It is beyond our comprehension, though, why insults to intelligence, and I'm referring here to the racist label of terrorist attributed to her, why would it be taken seriously and uncritically here in the Netherlands? The conditions of Palestinians in Israel, 1948 Palestinians that she represents as an elected official, must not be regarded in isolation from the conditions of other Palestinians in other territories controlled by Israel and beyond them. Member of Knesset Zoabi will probably address in her lecture tonight the fragmentation of the Palestinian people into groups with different legal statuses to which distinct sets of policies are made. This reality, the reality of separation and extreme political fragmentation, is a policy of the State of Israel that from its inception regards the collective identity of Palestinians, their collective rights, and claim to their historical homeland in Palestine as threatening to its existence, and seeks to eliminate them by all possible means. Let me just shortly mention some of Haneen Zoabi's most notable achievements. Haneen Zoabi holds a postgraduate degree in journalism and communications from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. She is the Knesset's champion in parliamentary inquiries and hearings in the area of gender equality. She is an initiator and signatory to a host of parliamentary legislative initiatives designed to promote social and economic welfare. She defends, without any hesitations, often against the objections of her own party members, the rights of sexual minorities. Her bill to make the Arabic language, which is an official language in the State of Israel, a mandatory part of school's curriculum from the first year of school, had just recently been passed, a great victory. She is one of the few figures in the political landscape of 1948 Palestinians, citizens of the state, who lends an active support to the popular anti-colonial struggle waged in the occupied territories, a struggle by people who, as the philosopher Hannah Arendt once said, have been robbed of their right to have rights. This struggle of the Palestinian people is our shared struggle and should be the struggle of any conscious people in the world. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Haneen Zoabi.
And I would thank Get40 Galit very much. I would thank Ghada very much, Palestinian Link. I would thank all of you. And I would thank also the Israeli media who showed an effort to come here to cover my lecture, although they doesn't show much effort to cover our daily parliamentarian work. So thank you, Channel 10. And I would start by question, why it is so weird or so threatening that a Palestinian Knesset member come and have a lecture to you and speak to you. I think very often that Jewish Knesset members come and speak freely, without noise, without incitement. What could I tell? Could I be so full and tell lies? Could I have list of flaws with a text in the tongue which any one of you or those who record me can tell you, no, it is not true, and this is the accurate text? Can I, when everybody is recording, give you statistics about the Israeli public opinion with the website, with an Israeli research institutions, and then one of you would discover that it is an accurate statistics? But I will tell you why the incitement. I will tell you why the activity of the Israeli media, the incitement within the Israeli media about me talking to you, because Israel is afraid from truth. Israel is afraid from those within us who come and tell the story about the only democracy in the region. I think the villa in the jungle should feel more confidence about her reality. I think the villa in the jungle should be very confident about its legal system, about its political system. So, the real democracy will not be frightened from someone who speaks. A real democracy would not be frightened from facts, from reality. Just those who want to hide the reality would incite, would prevent journalists from entering Gaza, the West Bank, and covering what's happening. So, the strategy of Israel that we will persecute the Palestinians when they tell the story of the victim. We can persecute him, we can call him a terrorist, and we can deal in another strategy with the European criticism. We can say they are anti-Semitic. So the Palestinian is a terrorist when he speaks, when he demonstrates, and the European is anti-Semitic when he wants to criticize policies, laws, the Israeli system, the state ideology. Okay, I will not invent anything. And we will not be, as Europeans, I think the Europeans must not be afraid from blackmailing based upon their guilty feeling of the Holocaust. We are here defending the victims of Kristallnacht. We are, by our struggle for democracy, equality, and justice, representing the victims and the real lesson which we must learn from racism and persecution. Don't be racist. Don't be silent. Don't kill. This is the lesson we should all learn. Now, it is not just the truth which is Israel afraid of, it is political struggle. To speak, to have interviews with the media, to demonstrate, to demand the world, to demand the international public opinion, not to keep silent, to demand an attitude. Our struggle for equality is a threat. Our struggle for state for all of its citizens is a threat. Our demands for justice is a threat. And this is what we are doing as Palestinian side Israel. We are taking the democracy seriously. We are in the parliament. We are elected to the parliament in order to struggle in a democratic tools. But this is exactly what Israel is afraid of. It is more easy for Israel to handle with armed resistance. Then she will say, okay, they are terrorists, and everybody maybe will understand. But it's more difficult to deal with Palestinian parliaments who show what kind of laws the Knesset has passed, what kinds of claims and of declaration Netanyahu is giving us and the Israeli ministers are giving us day by day. So, to struggle for equality is something which Israel is afraid of. The legitimate resistance, which Hila mentioned, is something which Israel is afraid of. And we will see, we must conclude, if this state is afraid of from democracy, then it cannot be a democratic state. And we, the Palestinians, will not be the good Arabs. We will not accept this condition, this conditioned citizenship. We give you your citizenship, but you must give up your identity. We give you your citizenship, but you cannot identify yourself as a Palestinian. You cannot practice your connection to your people in the West Bank, in Gaza, and those whom Israel has expelled. I must define myself an Israeli, not in terms of rights, but in terms of loyalty. I must be loyal to the ideology of the state. And what is the ideology of the state? Privileges to the Jews. So this is the historical condition. This is the historical demand from me. Those whom Israel didn't expel in 1948 should accept the state as a Jewish state. And the only meaning of Jewish state is to guarantee privileges to the Jews. So I am the indigenous, I am the Palestinians whom didn't choose this citizenship. And Israel didn't ask me if I want this citizenship or not. has forced me to accept this citizenship, I am the Palestinian, should treat myself as a stranger in my homeland, as an invader in my homeland. When we demonstrate against land confiscation, then Israeli MKs and Israeli minister would come up and answer us. You are invader. But you are the new شو الصليبيين الجدد, the new crusaders. Crusaders. But you are the new crusader. And we keep reminding Israel, please, be aware of your own history. It was you which immigrated to us. We didn't immigrate to Israel. It is my homeland. And you came as if there was no people. A people without land came really to a land without people. Really, we didn't exist. Really, we were ghosts. And I should accept that. I should be loyal. I should accept that and be loyal. I should be loyal to an ideology which treats me with inferiority. I should feel inferior to those who immigrate to my land. So this was our choice, to struggle within the constraints of international laws. This is part of our humanity to struggle. And not because we are Palestinians. First of all, because we are human beings. First of all, it is not so crucial to be a Palestinian in this case. It's enough to be human beings, which struggle within their human dignity, within the feeling of their human dignity. And this is what we are doing. And in our struggle for a normal state, a democratic state which doesn't guarantee privileges to the Jews, I am not just representing the Palestinians. I think I present Galit and Hila. I present every democratic Israelis. This is what we represent, because we represent values of human dignity, human rights, justice, and equality. So, a journalist asked me, why in Crystal Night you don't mention the crimes in Syria, the crimes in the Arab world? Well, I didn't hear any Arab state claiming that it is a democratic state. I didn't hear any Arab state claiming that it is a model of modernity and a model of liberty. And it is Israel which connects itself to the victims of the Holocaust. It is Israel which claims that she is representing the victims, and she stands for the right, on the right side of history. It is Israel which claimed to me, the indigenous people, that I am invader, and the only democratic way is to have a Jewish state. Well, there is no democratic way to have a Jewish state. There is only a racist way to have a democratic state. And this is the racism which we struggle against. And this is not just a few examples here and there. This is Netanyahu, who called upon civilians to carry weapons. This is Barkat, the head of the Jerusalem municipality, the occupied also Jerusalem, which called the civilians to carry weapons and to use the weapon in case they felt that they are dangerous. What do you mean? What he meant by if any civilian felt that he is in a dangerous situation, he can use the weapon. This means if he said any Palestinians around him and he didn't like this scenario, he can use the weapon, because the mere existence of the Palestinian is a threat. threatening. The education minister, Bennett, said, a minister of education said it's okay to kill Arabs. I have did so in my life. This is a minister. The Bitar sport group calls death to Arabs after each football match. And it is part of the political culture. No one hears these declarations or these statements and stop and say, no, this cannot be part of the politics inside Israel. 55% of the Israelis doesn't agree to give full equality to the Palestinian citizens inside Israel. 55. So it's also the public opinion. It is so accepted to be racist in Israel. It's part of the system. It's part of the laws. For more than 56%, the Jewish values is more important than democratic values. So you cannot be a Jewish and a democratic state. You must choose. So this is a myth to be Jewish and democratic state. And this is part of the political culture which demonize and persecute, justify violence and justify killing. Justify firing Arab workers from their works in the Jewish cities. And tomorrow in the Knesset there is a discussion about that raised by my colleague in the joint list. There are 4 Jewish cities which has fired or at least freezed the Arab workers who work within the municipality or the schools which are connected to the municipalities. The Arab workers in the Hebrew University has forced to have a tag recognizing themselves as Palestinians. They should have a tag in a university saying that they are Arabs. And each fact that I mentioned here, you can verify in the website. In Israel, there are 35 unrecognized Arab villages. Unrecognized means these villages are not presented in the Israeli official maps. They don't exist. 70,000 Palestinians don't exist in the Israeli maps. Why? Because there is an Israeli plan to expel these Palestinians, to destroy their villages, and to build Jewish villages in the same place and sometimes with the same names. The plan called Pravard plan. The Pravard plan. al-Hiran, Israel wants to destroy the Arab al-Hiran, a Palestinian village, and in using the same land, the same piece of land, the Negev, the south of the south, is 12 million dunams. So the Israeli Jews can build as much as towns as they want, but it is not necessary to destroy the Palestinian villages in order to build the Jewish and to develop the Jewish villages. al-Hiran will be destroyed, and in the same region, in the same place, little place I would say, the Hebrew Hiran will be developed. So what's happening exactly here? It's to Judaize the area. It's to confiscate the land from the Palestinians in order to develop Jewish cities and Jewish towns. And Israel has confiscated 86% after its establishment, 86% of the lands from the Palestinians, and has developed 1,000 cities and towns exclusively for the Jews. Exclusively for the Jews. Now, we live within 3% of the land we owned in 1948. So Israel, 3%. Israel is treating me, so Israel is treating me in a colonialist, with a colonialist perception. And at the end, she is so angry that I identify myself with my people and that I define myself as a Palestinian. And she's asking me, no, you are Israeli. You are Israeli. And this is not a wild growth, a wild growth. No, this is the system. This is the ideology. This is part of the game. And after that, we say that it's our right and it's our responsibility to struggle. It's our responsibility. This is what remains from our humanity. I would not recognize myself as a human being if I accept and if we accept this situation. 40 heavily armed and masked soldiers enter Maqasid Hospital in Jerusalem to look for young Palestinians 15 years old. 3 checkpoints surrounded Maqasid Hospital, and the soldiers have shot tear gas. Now, if this is the system, this system should reflect itself in the very legal basis of the state, the legal system. And I will give you some examples about the Israeli legal system. Villa. Can we go to the first link? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In Israel, there are 80 laws which justify racism in all fields of life. Land confiscation, using of land, housing, budgets, commemorate our history, criminal procedure, and I will choose two or three from each page. For example, the third one, criminal procedure law. This law allows the interrogations of security suspects not to be recorded. Income tax law. I am just give you a glance from this law. The law grants 35% tax exemption on donations to institutions that promote Zionist settlement. Second page, Israeli prisons ordinance. An additional amendment to the Israel prison allows for restrictions on security prisoners' access to legal counsel. Anti-boycott law is a civilian struggle. So this puts restrictions and legal filling of civil law suits against anyone who calls for boycott. The third page, admission committee law. This law legalize admission committees that operate in hundreds of small community towns built on the land which the state has confiscated from the Palestinians. And these admission committee lands can filter any Palestinian citizen from living within these villages or paying a housing unit within these 730 community villages, controlling over 50% from the land inside Israel. And these are translations from the Israeli law. Citizenship law, family unification law. Family unification law prevent any Palestinian citizen in Israel from having a family unification unit in case he got married with a Palestinian from the West Bank, or from Gaza Strip, or from Lebanon, or from Syria. Thousands of family unification, thousands of families are prevented from living with each other because the concept of minimum Palestinians is part of the concept of having a Jewish state. It is meant to maximize the land and to minimize the Palestinians. Page 3, the citizenship law. The law allows courts to revoke the citizenship of person convicted of assisting the enemy, etc., etc. So it is not just a criminal law, which the Palestinian can go to jail for 30, 20, 40 years. The Minister of Interior has the permission to evoke citizenship. Nakba law, page 4. Nakba law. By this law, I cannot commemorate my history. By this law, the finance minister can reduce state funding to support any institution which commemorates Israel's Independence Day or the day on which the state was established as a day of mourning. For us, in Nakba is not just part of the Palestinian history. In Nakba is part of the Israelis' history. It needs two to have in Nakba. And the Israelis must know what has happened and what they did in 1948. And it's so illogical to have laws restricting my feelings. It's to commemorate. It's something which is related to my mind, to my feeling, to my identity, to my history. And you not just confiscate the land from me. You want to confiscate my relation to the land. You want to confiscate my relation to my history. You want to confiscate my relation to my people. It is not just to confiscate the land as a my home, it's my homeland. And you are threatened by the memory of the victim. My memory as Palestinian is threatening you. You cannot accept the fact that I exist. It is not when if I called for an armed struggle, then I will threat you. No, if I commemorate my history, I am threatening you. If I remember what happened to me, I am a threat to you. It is not the story of legal struggle or illegal struggle. It's your history which is threatening you. And my history is your history. And you must recognize what you did to the Palestinians in 1948. If you want any conciliation, if you want any normal reality, coexistence, they like in Israel the word coexistence. They do everything to the Palestinians, they oppress them in all ways you can imagine, and then they speak about coexistence, and they say that those Palestinians who talk about the past, or about the future, or about the present, are threatening coexistence. I must not exist in order to have this coexistence. I must cancel my existence in order to have this coexistence. You must recognize what did you do for the Palestinian 1948. And we don't say, as the Israelis claim and the Israeli media claim, that they want to throw the Jews on the Mediterranean. No, we don't want to throw anyone in the Mediterranean. We want you, the Israelis, to recognize our history and to have a democratic basis for coexistence, which means no privileges to the Jews on my hometown, my homeland. I cannot agree to be inferior. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry that I feel myself as much human being as you. I am so sorry that I cannot accept the logic and the ethics that you came to my homeland, expel my people, and then you say, I want to Judaize everything. I want to rewrite your history. In the education system, I cannot study my history, and it is not written here in these laws. It's a policy. The word Nakba should not be written in the historical textbooks. I pay taxes to the education system in order to realize how inferior I am, how disconnected I am from my reality and from the place I live in. And when we challenge this, when we say no, then we are threat, security threat, terrorist, or we are inciting. So you came to my land, but you don't like the history of this land. You don't like the geography of this land. So you build racist walls, you you destroy villages, you put checkpoints. You say you like this place because the Tanakh, the Bible, Balfour has promised you. I don't need the Quran to promise me anything, and I don't need Balfour because I just was there and I'm still there, and we will continue. We don't need any Balfour to promise us, and any Quran and any New Testimony to promise us this homeland. We just, as simple as that, we just exist there. We happen to be there. And we will not treat ourselves as ghosts or as second-class human beings. So you change the history, you rewrite history, you rewrite geography, you behave as a colonialist. You really don't believe that it's so logical and so ethical to be there. You want always to silence me. But now, we did a huge historical compromise. We accept you to be there, but not within a racist state. You came, and we must accept our defeat in 1948. But okay, we have just one condition: to live there in a normal, real, democratic state. Not to Judaize the land, Judaize the history, Judaize the geography. And as a journalist, you are saying to me this morning, you don't understand my Jewish sensitivity or my Jewish... I want you, first of all, to be human. To be human. You don't need to be so obsessive with Jewish values, Jewish there and Jewish there. Just be human and accept the fact that this is also, and this is the huge historical compromise, that means the word also. Why you don't realize my compromise? Why you accept it as taking for granted that I am saying democracy between me and you, but not within a Jewish state, because there is no democratic way to have a Jewish state. You confiscate my land and you have a law of Negev individual settlements as a tool used by the state to provide individual Jewish Israeli families with hundreds and sometimes thousands of dunams of land in the Negev. According to a land law, this law allows finance minister to confiscate land for public purposes. And it's always the land of the Palestinians. It's always we confiscate it from the Palestinians in order to use it. And an amendment, number 10, confirms state ownership of land confiscated under this law, even where it hasn't been used to serve the original confiscation purpose. So you don't confiscate my land in order to have a public project. You want to control it. You want to say to me, you don't have, as indigenous people, anything there. These are, I mentioned 8 out of 80s. And when we say laws, all of these laws have a majority. And even those who didn't accept these laws, either in the media or the opposition which didn't accept them, didn't raise any public agenda against these laws. Some of are apartheid laws. Apartheid laws. I want you to imagine one from these 80 laws passed in Holland. Just one. Imagine you are forbidding the Jews in Holland from commemorating anything. They would say to you anti-Semitic. Imagine that in Holland has passed a law which denies the Jewish from living within 700 or 70 or 7 or 1 village within Holland. Imagine what would happen there. But these laws have been passed gradually since 1948, and they didn't pass during, for example, the last 5 years, the first 5 years, the first 10 years, when the state felt that it's so weak and she wants to be strong. 20% from these 80, it means 20 laws has been passed the last 6 years. We are talking about a very strong state, with a very strong army, with a very good relations with Europe, with the European community, with the USA. We are not talking about a weak state which has an obsession of a real physical threat. No. So it's an ideological politics. It is not a matter of security. And when we say so, and when we connect this to Kristallnacht, we want to deliver a very simple message that when you don't recognize racism in the right moment, you can lead yourself to a disaster, but it is already a disaster. We are the Palestinians, we are not talking about just a process to a disaster. We are talking about policy of targeting the Palestinians. The Israelis has arrested 200 citizens before demonstrations. Before demonstrations and during and after. The 200 before, during and after. They have arrested tens before demonstration because they intended to what? To demonstrate. And I am talking about citizens. Arresting of children. Out of the 200, Israel has arrested 90 under 17 years old. So, the policy now is to silence every single act of political struggle or political activity. Youth who wrote sentences, a professor in Bar Ilan University wrote a sentence that I am sorry for the victims from the two sides. And because of this sentence, they have called him for Va'adat Tel Itikam, hearing?
Discipline
Committee. Because he expressed that he is sorry, and you can find this out in Google. This is Israel. But we don't like just to concentrate about this side of the story. What is Israel doing? What we the Palestinians do? What we want? What is our struggle? And how we want to practice our struggle? And what is the reaction of Israel? Hila said that it is not true that Haneen has an investigation,
criminal
investigation, but it may be true.
I said it.
And what Netanyahu asked the Attorney General, he asked him 3 weeks ago to open an investigation against me. So yes, it may be true after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks, I don't know. We want here to say, even to the Israelis who came to demonstrate against me or against any Palestinian who have the vision and who struggle for a vision of democracy, that we think it is not for your interest to be blind about facts. It doesn't suit your history also. It doesn't suit your history. And I think this is not a way to be loyal to your own history. Not to be blind to the present. And not to be blind to racist policies which Israel is conducting under the excuse and under the justification that in this way we defend ourselves. No, occupation cannot defend itself. No, racism cannot defend itself. You cannot put 2 million people within a siege, within the biggest jail in the world, polluting 90% from their water. And 90% of their water, polluting 90% of Gaza water. What? And you can enter Google and you can see there that Gaza needs 20 years to clean its water system. What? This is the reality we face. And the only way to struggle, what we call a popular struggle. And this is not a call for violence. This is the opposite. Because occupation is a violence. Occupation is the main terrorism. And racism within the state of Israel is the main racism. And we, the Palestinians, within Israel, the forgettable side of the story. Because when we say the Palestinian struggle, most of the people think about the West Bank. And this is what Israel has succeeded, to divide our people and to divide our struggle. And Israel has 4 different legal systems to treat the 4 different Palestinian groups. One legal system in Gaza, siege. The occupation has a different legal system with the military. With military courts, and the Palestinian within the state I mentioned, the racist, Jewish and democratic system, and the Palestinian in the diaspora. And controlling us by criminalizing our political struggle. And in Israel, I didn't mention a special law regarding political parties. In this law, I must accept the definition of Israel as a Jewish state order to enter the parliament. So you can ask me, so how you did enter the parliament? You must ask me, and I will answer you. We said in our political agenda, we struggle for, we call for a state for all of its citizens. Then there was a debate in the court. Is this contradicts the definition of Israel as a Jewish and democratic state, or not contradicting the definition of Israel as? They argued between themselves. If state, so it is a question if a normal state, a state of Israel, is contradicting or does not contradicting the definition of Israel as a Jewish and democratic state. And of course, at the end, they could not decide that it contradicts the definition of Israel as a Jewish and democratic state. And this is how we enter the parliament. So I must, as I said to you, by law, I must. It is as to be loyal to Holland as a white Protestant state. It is the same. That you must be loyal to Holland, not the full stop. You must be loyal to Holland as white Protestant state. And no one asked what's the meaning of this. And the American Congress can clap for Netanyahu 32 times, and Netanyahu can go all over the world saying how democratic Israel is. With this, and I can guarantee to you, in South Africa, there is no anti-racist laws. There was not as much as much laws as these anti-laws. We constitute 18% of the population of Israel. We define ourselves to be Palestinians. We define ourselves to be Israeli citizens. We take our citizenship seriously. We take the democratic tools seriously in order to struggle for democracy, for equality, for justice to my people. The meaning of to be equal as Palestinian, to be 100% citizen, but 100% Palestinian. In Israel, the citizenship is a conditioned citizenship. As I said to you, I must be loyal. And there is a set of laws within these 80 laws, which give privileges to those who have served in the Israeli army. So according to law, for historical reason, I am not forced to serve in the army. But the Israeli laws punished me because I don't serve in the army. For me, equality means 100% citizen and 100% a Palestinian. And ending occupation, ending the violence of the settlements is part of my struggle. It's part of my responsibility as a human being. It is part of my responsibility as a Palestinian. And if you don't realize the way Israel is adjusting itself to a fascist system, then you are blind, or you are on the wrong side of the values we are talking about. And what is happening now, that in Israel there is no left. The whole society has been moving toward the right wing since the second Intifada. And the Israelis doesn't recognize the suffering of the Palestinians because they don't see Palestinians. They put 2 million in a siege, 3.5 million behind the wall, and those, the 1 million within them, they are not Palestinians, they are Israeli Arabs. So the Palestinians vanish, and the suffering vanish. There is no Palestinians, there is no suffering. And I will finish by saying that you as a Dutch has also a responsibility not under this blackmailing claim, anti-Semitism. Not to blackmail you. And I know that journalists has hesitated to make interviews with me because they hesitated to be called anti-Semites. We know how strong is the Israeli lobby. We know how strong and blackmailing is the Zionist lobby. But we, the Palestinians, cannot. We feel sometimes that we must free ourselves and also free you, the Europeans. We must struggle for your freedom also, not just for our freedom. Struggle for our not to be silenced, not to agree with policies which your government is conducting on your name and with your taxes. This is also your responsibility. And because of the Holocaust, it's more your responsibility. Because of the Crystal Night, it is more your responsibility. Because you must not repeat what you did to the Jews in front of the biggest tragedy in the modern history, the Holocaust. This is our respect to the Crystal Night victims and to the Holocaust victims. Thank you.